tremendous opportunity. Thank you for giving me this chance to come out and speak with you here this afternoon. I looked at the food, I almost said good morning. You sort of keep track by what meals are on the table. I'll spend just a few minutes talking here today. I'll give you a sense of why I decided to run for Congress and what I hope to accomplish when I'm there. And then in this size group and with the nature of the folks out here today, what I'd really love to do is engage in a conversation. You can ask questions or tell me about something you heard you think I might have said, and we can really engage in a discussion about the things that are most on your mind. I do treasure these opportunities to get in front of people. It's very different than a 30-second commercial and what you get to see there. You get an opportunity to see who we really are, how we really present ourselves, how we interact with others, and I think those opportunities are enormously important to voters. And when I think about opportunity, it's why I'm running. It's what my mother always told me. Susan told the story about my mother growing up in Wellington, Wellington High, and then comes to Wichita to work for the Boeing company as a purchasing manager. She worked there for a short time. Neither she nor my father went to college, but they made it very clear, in spite of that they felt like they had lived in, and that they made sure my brother and sister and I all knew that we lived in tremendous privilege. Not material privilege, we grew up in a pretty ordinary existence, but we were privileged because we grew up in this place where you can do what it is that your heart chases you to. And you can go to school and you get a chance to go to this great place out there. I went to West Point, graduated from Harvard Law School, and got a chance to run 2 small companies here in South Central Kansas. That is unique. Very, very unique. And almost 17 months ago when I decided to run for Congress, I did it because I thought that opportunity was threatened. I thought that my son Nick, who's 19 now, a sophomore at K-State, might not have the same kinds of opportunities. I see a few applauses for K-State. Yeah. Might not have that same set of opportunities that if we continue to spend money at the enormous rate that we're spending money, that America would look radically different for him and if we're blessed our grandchildren. And I couldn't sit by and watch that happen. And so we worked at it, we thought about it, we prayed about it, and what's in our closet, the question all candidates have to ask, what's out there they're going to talk about and say about you. Turns out those aren't the things you need to worry, they'll say. It's the things that you may not even have done that someone will say about you. So I had this opportunity. I was so proud to have been a soldier in the United States Army. I swore to defend the Constitution, and I saw our Constitution being eroded in what I believe are fundamental ways. And I watched an administration begin to do things that I think most of us in this room would not have believed would happen in the United States, all within the last 24 months. It's not purely partisan. I think Republicans spent too much when they were in office too. This is about the fundamental relationship between government and its people, and we have moved a far cry from where I think our founders intended and where I think we all know it needs to be. We mostly know that because we've seen what's going on here in the 4th District of Kansas. It doesn't work. Like Kansans know work. We all know how to get up in the morning, go to work, and get it done. It's one of the traits that if you went around the country and asked people about Kansans, that's what they'd say. They're hardworking people, willing to do what it takes to further the community objective or take care of their family, do the things they need to do. But when you watch what's happened since this administration has taken hold and since Speaker Pelosi has taken office, they don't work. The health care plan, which was presented, is the most jobs-destroying bill in the history of the United States of America. And everyone that I talked to, and I've met a few over 13,000 people in the last 16 months, and everyone may be a slight stretch, but not by much. Nearly everyone knows that health care bill will be bad for Kansas, bad for them, bad for their families, bad for doctors, bad for patients, bad for business. You talk to folks and say, how come you're not adding the extra 5,000 square feet to your building? How come you're not thinking about expanding into a new product line? They'll say, I don't know what my world's going to look like tomorrow. I don't know what the true cost of hiring that next full-time employee is going to be. And so all of them are going to sit back. Tremendous uncertainty. I've read that health care law. I read it very carefully. I'd be shocked if I understood more than a third of what was in it. and at least that much ended with the famous phrase, and the regulation shall be determined by the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Tremendous ambiguity about what's really going to happen, and yet a great claim of victory from the Obama administration about what they think they've done for healthcare. Instead, what we know they've done to our economy is they've placed us in circumstances where in the 4th District of Kansas, I would guess that the actual unemployment rate is somewhere close to 20%. It's reported at 7 or 8 or 9. The underemployment rate, folks who've given up, they put the number at 15, 16, 17. When you count folks who've left the 4th District of Kansas because there is not work, I would venture to guess that 1 out of 5 folks who want to work are out there and can't. And that's a travesty. It doesn't have to be. You know, I lived in that industry for 10 years. I lived in the aircraft manufacturing industry for a decade. I had 400 employees at 119th Street South, 842 at 119th Street. I went through tough times. The business went through challenges. We would go up and down in our employment. Aircraft companies know how to deal with difficult times and cycles in the economy. What's happening today is fundamentally different. We have structural change taking place. And it didn't all have to be. We had a president stand in front of the nation and make it politically incorrect to fly around in a Wichita-built airplane. It didn't have to be. This wasn't just about an economic cycle. This was bad federal policy. And I want to go to Washington, D.C. and be part of fixing that bad federal policy and making significant changes in the way we do so many of those things. You know, it's seldom today and surprising how few people are even talking about the fact that we're facing an enormous tax increase come January. So much has moved down the plate. So many changes in our business lives and in our family lives have taken place that we've got an enormous tax increase that's going to take place in January, which will even further reduce the appetite for folks to take risk and to invest. Certainly here in America, we have the second highest marginal tax rate for corporations in the industrialized world. We're just behind Japan. And I saw it at their aerospace. We would almost always, the last 5 years we were there. The business was a job shop. It was, we made machine parts, we built the prints from our customers, and we would, the last 5 years, be competing against international competitors almost in every single bid opportunity that we had. And we'd bid against companies in India or Mexico or Turkey or Ireland or Singapore. And you think, well, I think I can beat Ireland. Right? I must have a more competitive cost structure than a state that's part of the European Union. And yet when you add what the impact was from the burden here in Kansas and the regulatory burden from the federal government and all the taxes, we weren't particularly competitive. We had to do things to really find ways to add value to our customers by nature of our being locally located. But when it came to true competition, the ability to provide good value, it was a tremendous challenge. And again, it didn't have to be. Federal policy made it expensive to bring work and invest in America and in South Central Kansas. And I'm happy to talk about a handful of ways. I think we can fix it and fix it in pretty short order. Let me spend 2 minutes talking about the campaign, and then happy to chat with you about whatever you'd like. 9 weeks from yesterday is election day. So 62 days out. Voting will actually begin a week and a half or 2 weeks before that. So a very short run. We had 16 months of our previous campaign, and we built a really good team. And we're very proud of what we've accomplished. We've got a lot of work to do these last 9 weeks. What I'm looking forward to these 9 weeks is that the two candidates this time have incredibly different worldviews. When voters get a chance to look at the facts and the experiences of the two candidates who are being presented, myself and Representative Doyle, you will see two people who think about the world very differently. When we think about the ways you make life better for people here in the 4th District of Kansas, we have very different solutions to that. And I think that will be an engaging debate, because I think we can talk about facts, we can talk about experiences, we can talk about who we really are, we can talk about where our loyalties lie. And when we do that, I think voters will get two very different folks, and they'll get to make really well-informed decisions. And it's my objective to do that, to spend 9 weeks talking to you about why I want to be the next congressman, the things I truly, truly hope to accomplish. I think that'll stand in pretty sharp contrast to my opponent. I think voters will get a really neat opportunity here come November 2nd. With that, I'm happy to take questions on anything you'd like to talk about or listen to anything you'd like to